Well into the second loop, and Camille de Villiers and Francois Jordan had grabbed the lead from the Chepex. The Nissan pair was setting a blistering pace and a fine performance from the former multiple touring car champion. The Chepex and the V-Motors Chenoweth are a formidable combination. Meticulous preparation and controlled driving has won them many races and championships in the past. Woolridge and Skolthammer had the bit between their teeth and a firm grip on third place overall. Like the Jeep, the Ford Ranger does not have a windscreen because the radiators are situated behind the crew's seats and require as much air as possible to assist with cooling. On board with Carolyn and Ter Steger in the Mitsubishi Pajero. A dirty windscreen didn't help as far as visibility was concerned. Reinecker and Houghton were 5th overall in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, but there was still more than 200 kilometers to go and anything could happen. They were being chased hard by Weir Smith and Minute in the A-arm suspension Jimco. Also chasing hard were Van der Merwe and Scott Abraham in the Jeep. Weir Smith is a relative newcomer to off-road racing and has quickly shown that he is a main contender for the special vehicle crown. Reinecker's Toyota was in sight and Weir Smith was rapidly closing in. Van der Merwe lost the lead when the engine bogged down at a water splash, and due to a faulty high-tension lead on the starter, the Jeep wouldn't start again. Class B leaders Gavin Gray and Graham Cunningham from Peter Maritzburg were consistently placed in the top 10. For Grobler and Leek, it was a case of having to chase really hard to make up time lost on the leaders after a puncture on the first loop. The 3.5-litre V6 Nissan engine sounded sweet. The midway point at the Eston Bowman Farmers Club, and Camille de Villiers and Francois Jordan were still in the lead in the Nissan. The service crew sprung into action, checked the mechanicals, and fueled the beast.
Okay, fuel's in.
Time for a driver change in the Chepe camp as Franz Jr. climbed into the driver's seat. The Ford Racing Pit. Skolthammer was intent on a quick exit as the Ford Ranger came to a halt.
Yeah, it's going well. We're just taking it easy, looking after the car. Terrain's rough. We're racing the terrain, actually.
Reinecker and Houghton headed for the Toyota pit, closely followed by the Jeep, which had moved up to 6th place. Quick exits for Scott Abraham and Van der Merwe, while in the Toyota pit, Reinecker was almost ready to rejoin the race. Grobler and Leek were next into the pits.
Go. Hold on.
A determined-looking Reinecker and Houghton were now ready to go.
Hold it. Okay, go. Okay, let's go.
There were problems in the Ford pit. Valuable time was lost due to an extremely slow refuel.
Got it.
We've got a problem with our breather system, which is not as big as the intake, so it's taking quite a lot of time to fill up the fuel. So we're losing valuable time.
The punctured wheel that cost Grobler the lead and possibly the race.
How's it going?
Going well. We had a few problems like a flat wheel and whatever, but we're going strong.
Stratford Fwicht had taken over from Sorrel van der Merwe in the Jeep.
Went well for a while, yes, and we led for probably the first loop. Then the car carried out in water, and unfortunately the starter motor was broken, and it took us a while to get that going. And then it was just a mad rush to get back here again. And now Stratford's out there.
Aerial action of the Nissan. Camille de Villiers and Francois Jordan held on to the lead by the slenderest of margins, and could not afford any mistakes because they had the Chepex and the V-Motors Chenoweth breathing down their necks. Closing in on the two category leaders were Woolridge and Skolthammer in the Ford Ranger. The reigning production vehicle champions are past winners of the Sugarbelt 400. Disaster struck the Pajero team. Carolyn lost control of the vehicle and rolled while carving his way to the front.
They're on their way. So if he goes back and gets tires and comes back here, it'll be all right.
Let's take a look at the class leaders. De Villiers and Jordan lead the event overall and were first in Class T in the Nissan, which looked a little worse for wear. The Chepex lead the special vehicle category and will way ahead in Class A in the immaculately turned out V-Motors Chenoweth. Andrew and Chris Birkin were 9th overall and the Class E leaders in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. Production Vehicle Championship leader Shumi van Vieren was the Class D leader in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Mr. Consistency. Hill now lived up to his nickname and had moved into the Class B lead in the Look Clutches Truggy. On the homeward stretch, and there was a new leader. Almost predictably, it was the Chepex. Many wondered whether there would be any stopping the father and son duo this season. A wrong slot cost De Villiers and Jordan the overall lead, but they were still very much in control at the front of the bucky field and seemingly on their way to a debut win in the production vehicle category. The Ford Ranger of Neil Woolridge and Kenny Skolthammer, 3rd overall and 2nd in the production vehicle category. A little body panel damage did nothing to stop their charge. As spectacular as ever, Hannes Robler and Richard Leake in the Nissan had moved up to 4th overall and 3rd in category. Atang Makakaneni and Evan Hutchinson started 74th in the Hellman Logistics Jimco and had moved into 2nd place in the special vehicle category, ahead of Greg Harvey and Boy Stone in the Lexus V8-powered Queen Motors Spares Jimco. Shumi van Vieren and Barney Kotzer were runaway leaders in Class D and on their way to a class win. An excellent 7th overall and 4th in the production vehicle category. Carolyn and Testigo were on a charge and determined to make up as much of the time lost when they had to make an unscheduled pit stop to repair the rolled Pajero. Bad luck for Reinecker and Houghton. A sheared front suspension bolt meant that they had to limp to the finish in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. This would turn out to be an event they would rather forget. Franz Chepex Sr. and Jr. stormed towards the finish line to pick up their 3rd consecutive victory of the season. Is there any chance of stopping this team?
Coming through the trees, and these guys are going to be 2nd in the class here. There we go!
The South Loop was a tough one, a lot of dangerous passes and things, and very narrow roads, a lot of forests, plantations, a hell of a lot of dust. That's why the biggest problem was this morning we couldn't get past Chanil, the Nissan, because the dust. Every time we got onto him, the dust would chase us away. And our race is really not against him, so we thought we'd let him go. But on the second loop, on the last loop, we thought, well, you know, he made a bit of a mistake, so we got past. So then it was him to get the dust, and so we took advantage of the dust, and then he couldn't catch us anymore.
Another win for the Chepex. Harvey and Stone, the bridesmaids yet again, and a fine 3rd for Atang Makakaneni and Evan Hutchinson after starting 74th. A debut off-road victory for Chanil de Villiers and Francois Jordan in the Nissan Hardbody Super Truck. A fine performance from de Villiers in only his first full season of off-road racing. Jubilant applause from the Nissan pit crew, whose long hours of preparation had paid spectacular dividends in the form of 2 wins out of 3 starts this season.
Had a difficult fight in the beginning, but we got a break
Yeah, no, it was pretty tough out there. I must say the second loop was a bit rougher than I thought it would be, but it was a brilliant race. I mean, the bucky held together brilliantly. We hit one ditch there where I thought that this thing was not going to hold out, and it was just surprising that the thing was 100%. Nothing was wrong. And from there on, we took it easy. At one stage, we were leading by 2 minutes, but unfortunately, we took a wrong slotted for about a kilometer, and Chepe got past us. But in the end, the last 50 k's, I didn't really try and push to catch him because we're not racing against him, really. It was a brilliant race. We enjoyed it thoroughly, and I hope to be back next year.
De Villiers and Jordan won the production vehicle category overall and Class T, while Shumi van Vieren consolidated his position at the top of the championship.